when we're talking about your soul's word as opposed to your word, because you are a soul having this experience, but sometimes keeping your word is ego-based or thinking-based, and that's not necessarily what your soul's word is. How does this feel for you?
Well, I know what happens if you don't keep your soul's word.
Yep.
I know that because
Yep.
that happened to me yesterday. I took on something else and boom, down I go.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, dear Deb. Hello, dear listeners. How are you today, Deb?
Yay, I'm super inspired about being here and our topic.
We've got a good topic, absolutely. And we hope that our listeners find that our conversations help them become deliciously motivated in their mindset. That's kind of the vibe that we're going for here. And before we yes, before we get into unpacking our conversation for today, we like to just do a wee check-in and see how are we feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and we give ourselves a number rating between 0 and 10. And 0 is like completely zened out, pieced out, feeling calm and at ease. And 10 is feeling stuck and, oh my God, I don't know what to do and I don't know where to turn, and then everything in between.
Yes.
Yes. So my dear, what number are you at today?
I love this, but then I don't love it because I really have to get put on the spot. I go, this is a great idea. And then I'm like, oh no, now I've got to think about it. I'm actually going to say I'm a 2.5 because emotionally I feel amazing. Mm-hmm. Emotionally, I feel amazing. I've had my physical feels a little bit tight and tense and a little bit edgy. So I'm going to just say a 2.5. If I went physical, I would say I'm probably a 6. Mm-hmm. Mentally, I would say I'm 0.5. So I'm just going to do an average of, what did I say, 2.5?
2.5. 2.5 sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's because that's clearly between those two numbers. But,
yeah.
But I'd say 2.5.
Sounds good. So Deb's at 2.5.
Today, I'm at 2.5.
I'm going to actually put myself at 2. I'm feeling emotionally really good and mentally really good. I've got a lot of things on the go and a lot of things that are making me excited, but I'm also really looking forward to seeing where we're going to go with this one. As we've shared with our listeners before, Deb and I have co-created a huge list of all of our titles, and then we just kind of work through them, but we don't prepare anything. We just come in and say, oh, what we're talking about today. And oh, this is a goodie.
Which is quite funny because because we have a conversation before we start. We go, yes. What's going on? How are you going? Da, da, da. And then whenever we go, okay, so right. So what are we hitting today? And we get the topic and I'm like, oh yes, sort of just like what we talked about.
It's exactly
what's going on.
That happens pretty much every time.
I know. And then I go, oh, thanks universe for just reminding me how powerful you are or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. So today we're talking about tips to keeping your soul's word. So that's why I'm saying I'm at a 2, because I love this whole area. And it's kind of you know, when we're talking about your soul's word as opposed to your word, because you are a soul having this experience, but sometimes keeping your word is ego-based or thinking-based, and that's not necessarily what your soul's word is. How does this feel for you?
Well, I know what happens if you don't keep your soul's word.
Yep.
I know that because
Yep.
that happened to me yesterday. I took on something else and boom, down I go.
Mhm.
And that's my physical ailment right now. As I said, it was a little higher number, lower number, high number. So keeping your soul's word, I just know if you go out of alignment, if you go out of your intuition, if you go to another state away from what is really, really, really important to you, not what other people say is important,
Mhm.
your own inner calling, inner voice, inner wisdom, what like
Yeah.
inner you,
The
like
truth of you. Absolutely.
yeah, the truth of you, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go against that, you're just going to be pushing up a massive hill battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is going to be challenging. Everything is going to be hard. And so it's really, really, really important to keep your soul's word.
And sorry.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, but I'm actually, yeah, that's it. That's all. It's just really important.
It is, but what I was going to add to that is in order to do that and to actually get real clarity on what is that, for me, I know that I have to really be mindful of creating enough alone time to actually hear that truth, that authentic guidance. Because to your point, and you said that a moment ago about it's what is true for you, not what other people think you should do or what they say or inherited beliefs.
Wait, I'm just going to interrupt you there because that is really important.
Mhm.
True for you.
Yes.
And even me, who I would say is an empowered woman who listens to my intuition, I do jump off my train and onto someone else's carriage.
Yes.
And I pull myself back as quick as I can. So it doesn't matter what level of awareness you are, we all do have that influence that we go, oh, like I say, shiny object, oh, shiny object, oh, and jump into that. So it's really, really, I'm just going to emphasize again, it's really, really, really important when we say you, listen to you, not me, listen to Moira. Well, definitely listen to us, but listen to you. And it's just really important. Okay, carry on, Moira.
Thank you for that. And you, yeah. So you see, I find, and I don't know about how you find this, that it is about acknowledging and knowing how do you access your inner wisdom, your intuition, because sometimes it'll be like a little whisper that just suddenly, oh, no, do that, choose that, go there, don't go there, right? But or you just have an inner knowing or a gut feeling or something, you overhear something that suddenly gives you the clarity that you were looking for. But this is so important to find your right rhythm, because by doing that, then you acknowledge your own process and you allow the answers to show up, right?
Yeah.
And
it's that trust and that's that belief too. You've got to trust the process. You've got to believe in the process and then trust it.
Yes.
Because I remember, I'm just going back to my parking ferry. Someone said to me, "What is a parking ferry?" I say parking ferry. You've got something else. What do you call your one?
I don't.
For you, Moira.
I don't.
When you just know. So parking.
Know. Yeah.
Parking
ferry, that'll do.
It's just, you just know there's a park and you sometimes see the park or you can feel the park and you just know it's in one of those two spots or that's exact spot or whatever. You can, I just know. I don't question the parking ferry. I go, okay, parking ferry. Yeah. Do your thing. And I just pull up and there it is. So I don't have to walk miles or anything. And you just know. And I think that's the thing. When you just know and you don't question it. So I have incredible amount of trust and belief. So I believe in the parking ferry and I trust the parking ferry.
Right.
And even if I'm in a car and people go, oh, a what? A ferry? What are you? A parking ferry? What does this parking ferry look like? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't.
You just
get the
trust
whole-
her.
Yeah, exactly. I
I'm saying her,
believe.
because we know
And
it's her.
and she's got purple glitter,
Yes.
and gold. And I don't question it. But even when people take the mickey out of me, like, you've got a parking fee, I'm like, yeah. And I don't think anything of it. I will still get a park and prove them wrong. Now, I'm not doing it to prove them wrong, but I just get that. And so no matter what people say to you, if you can believe and trust that, then, like, often people go, you got a parking fee, like, that's just stupid, that's dumb, da, da, da. I'm like, okay, like, that's your perception.
But that's their perception and their limited
Yeah.
mindset that they won't get it.
And I guarantee when they go want to park, they're going to pull out their own parking ferry and go, okay, parking ferry, prove me wrong. But they're never going to come back and tell me, which is fine. I don't need to know that their parking ferry works, because I know it works. I don't know how the parking ferry works. Don't need to know, but I know the parking ferry works.
It's not your concern.
So it's yeah. So there's the belief. You must believe in it. And then you must trust that it's going to work, which is two of the similar things, but I think believe's the first thing, and then trust. And that isn't anything, and that's your soul's word, is you must believe it.
Yeah.
And then you must trust it. And even if you feel you're getting blows, I don't think say blows, if you feel you're getting like dealt a low blow,
that if it's maybe you think it was going to go a different way.
Not the way your expectation, your
expectation.
Inspection.
Inspection.
Your expectation is not what you thought it was going to be. You've just got to trust. You've got to believe and trust, believe and trust, believe and trust. And they are so important to, well, that's actually your first top tip.
Yeah.
Believe and trust.
Believe and trust. But you see, the other thing that brings up from what you're saying here is that it's to believe and trust and not necessarily ever get into a space of thinking you have to figure out how or why.
Oh, delegate that shit.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say delegate that shit. Sorry. I'll keep quiet now. Yeah.
But you see, as soon as people, and I see people doing this, it's like, okay, I'm going to trust that this happens. Oh, and then they might have a little inner dialogue. Yeah, but how is it going to happen? How will that happen? How will that parking spot show up? How will that?
Don't even ask me how half the stuff works.
I know, and that's
I don't even know how a biro clicks down on what mechanisms or something. Our fan in our bathroom broke the other day, and my partner's father said, does the mechanism of the da work? And I went, what? And he said, does it? And I was like, a what? And he said, okay, I said, I'm just going to clean it. And he goes, did the front cover come off? And I went, what? Like, does it, like, even that, like, I don't know how it works. I don't know. I don't want to know. I just, but anyway, he's pulled it apart. That's another story.
Clicker and
it works.
It works.
There's people who want to figure that out. I don't need to figure that out. My brain's at capacity of a lot of things. I don't want to take in, I was like, what screwdriver do I use? There's different types of screwdrivers. We're all genius in our own areas. But that's just I don't need to know how it works. It's that trust and belief.
And that's the biggest piece in this is, I've had conversations over the years where people will say, where are you going to be this time next year? Or what kind of outcome is going to happen? And
don't mean to laugh, but yeah.
I have no idea. So here's the thing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know it will be amazing.
Yeah.
And I also know that if I do have any kind of situation that needs a resolution or solution, that I am so in touch with my own inner guidance and my intuition that I recognize it when it shows up. So just because you're saying, like in your example, Deb, about driving it and saying, okay, parking ferry, you don't then need to start thinking, okay, how is that going to show up? And what if this? And what if? It's like, no, it's done deal. You only say it once.
Yeah, I was talking to a colleague recently, and she was saying, oh, you're one who just goes, oh, that's going to happen. And then you just know it's going to happen. You carry on. I'm like, yeah. She goes, not everyone's like that. I'm like, what? She's like, oh no, people aren't like that. People not often. But I was like, why? And so I was really perplexed at the whole why. Why would you worry about it? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Like, yeah. So it was quite an interesting one. She goes, oh no, you just go, yeah, that's happening. Yep, I'll carry on.
Right.
Oh, what did she call it? Different layers of manifesting. I'm like, oh no, that's going to work.
Right. Done deal.
And that's, yeah. don't have time to question. I'm on to my next platform. Next
You
shiny
know, it's an
object.
interesting point, though. Don't you think that she was kind of incorrect? Because I actually do think that everybody manifests everything all the time. And
Well,
so if you say, okay, I'm going to manifest that parking spot, or I'm going to manifest that dream job or the client, and then you get into the, oh, how is it going to happen? What if I miss it? Or what if I don't get that? Well, actually, what you're doing right there is manifesting the lack of it.
I was just going to say the confusion, the frustration,
Yeah. Whereas in your example, you don't allow space for that. You just go, yeah.
I don't have time for that. I've got a
Yeah.
million things to do. I've got a million people to serve at least. I don't, yeah, it's I guess for me is, but I mean, that's the other thing is about a mantra. And I know, I remember I was saying to you something, I said, oh, I've got to say this a couple of times or something. And you were just like, what? Just say it once.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing is people who have, saying that mantra over and over and over again. Like if you want to say it over and over again, that's fine. But what if you just said it once and it worked?
I know.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Just for a moment, imagine that.
And truth is, we, each one of us, we're that powerful.
I know.
And so we're not, because the other thing is that's that thing, right? Is the you decide there's my destination, I'm going to get there. But then sometimes we have this inner voice of, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Are we?
But you see, I think that if we do that, we are actually pushing away the done dealness of it. Because if I say no, that's it, done. Then just get busy enjoying what's in front of me, then all of a sudden I'm there.
Yeah, see, it is that parking ferry. If I had to put my time in to go, is my parking ferry serving somebody else as well? What if I ask the same time that my parking ferry has been asked by somebody else? Why do I have this parking ferry and not Moira's parking ferry? Where is this parking ferry? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it breathe like? Is it with me the whole time? Like if I had to take all that, and like, is this parking ferry a boy or a girl? Is the parking ferry spotted the car park and then liaised with other parking ferries to say, don't take that? That's my client's car park. Like there's a bigger picture to this whole parking ferry. If I had to take all that in, because there's only a little brain span of what questions, but if I had to take all that in, oh my God, I just would
drive yourself crazy.
I would tell the parking ferry to F off and take a break. Like because I just wouldn't leave home. But I mean, there's so much bigger picture to every single thing that happens. And if I had to put all that energy, even just creating those little things in my mind then, which I just want to say I've never, ever, ever considered, just for the record, and I had to go, oh, what would crazy people think? Yep, there's that one. And then what else would crazy people think? Yep, I just labeled everybody crazy who thinks all like those things. But there's a lot, like that's a lot to fill your mind up with.
Absolutely.
Instead of just going, parking ferry, just find me a park, please.
But do you know what dropped into my awareness as you were describing that is that it's a wee bit like us somewhere getting unhinged and having to say, oh, you know what? I need to remember to tell my heart to beat. Okay, beat, beat, beat. Or I need to remember to breathe in and breathe out. Like we don't do that. Right?
I'm not going to tell my heart what to do.
We trust that our heart's going to beat and our circulation's going to go and our breathing's going to go. We don't have to, and we don't sit there and tell our intestines to digest. We just eat and know and trust really that everything's getting digested.
Oh my God. Yeah, I just went through a long line of cuckoo-ness then. Because imagine if you had to do all that stuff. Yeah. Imagine if you had to go, okay, left hand. I'm now going to scratch my nose. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because I'm just going to scratch my nose.
Flex your fingers.
So you need you all to be engaged here. I need to scratch by that stage, my right hand's already gone up and scratched my nose because I'm freaking still trying to convince the left hand to move. and you need to put that cup down, and like the whole right hand's on, oh, frick this, I should say. Where I'm done. I'm just going to scratch by the time you get it. But that's how
Empty nose.
Yeah, now as we both scratch our nose. And I scratch my right hand, not with my left hand. But that's how I'm going to say the word crazy, not
Crazy making.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, that's the stuff that you can spiral you. Like I would rather have more inspiring things in my nose than having to tell my body or anything like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on this podcast who actually does go down that? Look, I don't recommend you put it up there publicly. No, do it. But is there anyone on there who actually does have this whole, that's where they get to, like that they have to think about all those things? Because I'd really like to talk to you. Because that you've got, you've got a very overactive brain.
Yes.
And are you actually achieving anything in your day?
Yeah.
Like I'm generally concerned.
Definitely, because that is getting so caught up in the minutia that
there is no soul's word. You're not even going to hear your soul's word.
Exactly. You will.
The soul's word's going to be
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But that's about the always coming back to to keep your soul's word means that you do need to create stillness, calmness, ease, trust that the truth is within you. It has to. It's part of this whole game of life that we call it, right?
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
This is a big one. And we know that trust comes from past stories that you've watched or heard or lived your own, and trust. But I think, anything, and I say it to all people, I say it to all people, I say it to everyone, is you've been through challenging times before. You've been through inspiring times before, and you've survived, and you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah.
And so that is a big one to trust, to go, people go, oh, I'm running out of money, or I'm going bankrupt, or whatever. And you go, okay, so when have you really struggled to pay your bills one other time? They're like, oh, no, I haven't. I'm like, come on, let's go back to that. Yeah. They're like, oh, yeah, I remember that time I was on the verge of bankruptcy. It was about 10 years ago. And I go, and so what happened? Well, actually, I just found a solution.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, so you've survived that moment then. And it's like, yeah, so you're going to do that one again. That's where it's at again. Yep. And people just get that whole, oh, yeah, I have been through it before. I forgot I have.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And that's part of that trust, to go, you know what? You have been here before. Trust that you're going to get through again. Because I don't believe you get a challenge that you cannot handle. You may not want to handle. Yeah. And you may think that you can't handle it, but you can always handle that challenge. There's a million resources out here in the world, podcasts, Moira privately, Deborah privately.
Yep.
There's a million resources out there to get you through.
No, and I love that you brought that up, because I completely agree. It's actually kind of a mantra for me. That's always been that every single situation that I have ever embraced or experienced, I would not be there if I did not have the capacity to come through it. Yeah. And I've gone through some pretty incredible things. The thing that sometimes can happen, though, like to your point, when you're talking about that person who, 10 years ago, they almost went bankrupt, but then they can forget. They forget that, look, I feared for the worst case scenario. I feared for that. But then I went and faced it, and everything clicked all into place. But then they forget that's actually because they did, on some level, they were following their soul's work and actually allowing it to help them navigate through the situation. But then mindset conditioning can sometimes go, oh yeah, but your survival is at stake, and here it is, your survival is at stake again, right?
Yeah, we get ourselves to such a pickle, and I mean, I know I've said even no matter how aware I am, or whatever you want to call it, alert or not alert, we all get ourselves into certain levels of chaos, a pickle, Christmas tree, tangled lights, and we can get out. And I just really, you go back to that time that you were nearly bankrupt, or you go back to the time that you found out that your partner didn't love you anymore, or even you didn't love your partner anymore, and you had that wake up. Go back to that moment 5 years ago it happened to you, or 10 years ago it happened to you, and go, and how did that serve me back then?
Yeah,
because
excellent question.
I think that's a really important question, to shift your mind to go, oh no, well, I lost my partner, I don't want to do that again, because then the fear is going to come in. And I tell you what, if you haven't resolved that fear, you're going to get more of that chaos, more of that frazzledness, whatever. Yeah. And you're going to go, okay, well, we'll give you a fear. We'll give you a real fear. We'll show you a real fear.
Yeah.
And it's going to come at full frontal, but it's going to come full throttle.
Well, it's going to wake you up in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning. Yeah. And make you sit up, bolt upright in bed going, oh my God.
Yeah. And whether you've got dogs there or not, it's going to be chaotic. Yeah. But I mean, that's it. So go back to that moment, and when that troublesome time was happening, and what were the blessings, what were the gratitude, and what were the lessons that were amazing, that you perceive that you don't want to repeat again. But when you see the big thing, who did you connect with? What did you discover about yourself? What were those learnings and teachings?
Yeah,
and
what was the gift?
Amazingness? Yeah. What were the gifts? What was that you discovered? Because when you can see that, you're just like, oh my God, this one's going to be this thing that I'm going through now. There's nothing. God, look what, I managed to talk about that stuff with all my clients, and I managed to make millions of dollars, or I managed to help transform the world, or whatever. But look at those, look at that glitter box that you've packed away thinking it's dark and cloudy.
Absolutely. And always remember that when you're aligning with the truth of you and really accessing your soul's wisdom, because that is what's directing you, giving you impulses to go over this way, and impulses to say thank you, and I'm done with the learning, thanks for the gift, off I go. But it's about checking in to see, how do you feel about yourself as you're speaking about yourself and to yourself. Because sometimes I find, and I know I've done this before, sometimes I can get caught in an old story. Oh yeah, I can't do this because I don't have the awareness, or I didn't do it as good as I felt like I could have last time. But it's all stories, and so that's why I really like to come back to deep breath, put your hand over your heart, and just check in and say, how do I feel about myself right here as you're doing this? And it's those emotions that actually really, really help you anchor in your soul's guidance, which is overlaying your physical experience. That's actually what emotions are. So that to me is one of the most important tools or tips in keeping your soul's words, are what are you feeling right now? You might be facing something big, like you're talking about finding out your partner doesn't love you anymore, or vice versa, or you go bankrupt.
Or vice versa. Let's not,
it's vice versa. But also create a little bit of space. And like I say, it could be just as simple as go sit somewhere quietly, hand over your heart. How do I feel about myself? And really be a wee bit of a spiritual detective to see, what are those emotions? You could be facing one of those things and yet feel uplifted, feel like what am I about to discover? And you're on track.
We'll do a 0 to 10.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
0 to 10 on your emotions, and allow. And also, we do this thing with the 0 to 10. We are emotional beings, and it is okay to go, you know what, I'm sitting in a moment of helplessness, hopelessness, chaos, resentment, anger, pity party, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's to just know that by acknowledging I'm having this experience, you can and you do shift through. No emotion is ever permanent, but it also provides you such a rich, I just keep saying navigational tool, right? But it is, it's like,
well, we talk about that all the time. We talk about awareness. We talk about being awake.
Yep.
It's another version of being awake. The moment you go, oh, then things unravel more. But I'm going to say, don't be so desperate to find that solution. And I think that's the thing, because desperation is just such an ass. Well, there's been benefits in desperation, but desperation is
you
such
can move through it though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but when you're in there and you're in there and you're in there and you just can't get it, you've got to stop. You've got to stop and go, okay, just let me breathe. Just ground me. What is it that's really important right now? Is it really important? You know, where's this at? Then we can deal with it. But the moment you're on that, you know, the hamster on the wheel, you ain't getting anywhere.
Caught in the hamster wheel. That actually reminds me of a blog post I did many years ago. It was along the lines of sitting with desperation and turning it into inspiration. Right. So it's like, find the gift of desperation. Might be, oh, whoops, I've missed some form of inspiration because it's here. And it's coming back to that trust, awareness and trust.
It is.
What can I do that will inspire me more?
Yeah, it's that same stuff over and over again. And look, you just got to ground yourself. And when I say ground yourself, look, I'm not saying you have to go and stand on the ground and meditate or lie down and meditate. Yeah, I'm just saying whatever you can do straight there and then. Yeah. And as we know, my favorite is hand on the heart. And that grounds me instantly, no matter where I am. You know, you might not be able to find grass that you want to stand in or meditate or have 10 minutes that you want to meditate, but you probably would be wise to take that time. But, you know, just stop, breathe. What is it? What is it that's so important right here, right now? Just stop and breathe. And then that fog, that's, you know, you start seeing a lot clearer.
Yes.
You know, and your soul's word appears a lot clearer.
Yes, right. Then the sun comes out and there it is.
Tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow.
That's actually a really cool tip, like you're saying about the fog and everything. Something I say to my meditation students is that I get them to imagine that their mind is the clear blue sky and that all thoughts are clouds. And so think about when there's so many clouds that it's like all gray and overcast.
As I look outside now.
And there's beautiful blue sky.
Yeah.
But that's how come it's a really good anchor to then come back to the breath, because if you breathed in through your nose and blew it out of your mouth with the added visual that I'm blowing the clouds away so that I can get back to my clear blue sky. That to me is such a powerful, it's silly. People might laugh and say,
I'm smiling so much because I said that same thing probably about a month ago to a woman who was a new client. And I said this thing and I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, what the heck? And then as I'm saying it, I'm going, that's really good. That's really good. That's so clear. You can actually visualize. She's a visualization. And I remember thinking, and I say that all the time. So when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, Moira's just like a few years behind me. I mean, ahead of me saying that. But it just came out and I was just like, and my head's going, that's weird that you're saying that. You've never said that before. And then I'm like, no, it works. You actually do it. And so I do it, but didn't register that's what I did. That's awesome. And I say it quite a lot to people because it's just blowing the clouds away.
Blowing the clouds away and realizing that just because you could sit with a stormy, overcast sky.
Yeah.
But always remember, you're still the boss of you. And when we align with the core essence, our soul, then it's like clouds. What clouds? They're over there. I mean, let's face it, we need clouds, right? Because we need rain too.
Yeah, well, we've had that all night long.
And you're good.
as Finn now goes outside for the toilet. Yep, we love that rain outside. Yes. Finn's a little dog, just for the record, everybody's 20-week puppy. Yeah, no, I just there's so many ways to ground yourself and see the bigger picture. And I hand on my heart is the very first one I go to whenever there's a chaotic, and that can take 5 seconds straight away, recognition, straight hand on the heart. Before you even start feeling it beating, you've already started I'm looking for a resolution here.
Yeah.
You know, you've already sent that out to the universe. I don't care how you do it, but just get me through this. Straight away, I'm prepared. I'm prepared to do what I do to get through this.
And do what you need to do. Do you know something else that brings up to mind for me is, I think it's really important for us to understand that in order for every problem or chaos or issue, the solution, the resolution, it's already in existence. It exists already. And so sometimes part of the keeping to your soul's word is actually surrender. To say, okay, I see this situation that's freaking me out, that's big. I don't know what is the next choice, what's my next step, I don't know what it is. But if I stop for a moment and again, hand over your heart, stop and go, hey, wait a minute, the solution does exist. So now I just need to surrender to stay open to it arriving, or me recognizing it, or being able to follow it, right? As opposed to getting too blinkered and into, I have to figure out, I have to work it through with my own thinking process, because that ain't going to work. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, that's that trust and belief again, isn't it? That's that parking theory. And but the moment you acknowledge, you're already starting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the moment you're debunking, you're already starting on an ego,
That's right.
An ego trip. So just pull that little one back.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're trying to say, I'm not part of a bigger whole. I'm not part of this. Einstein called it energetic foam. That like the quantum field.
Yeah,
I just like that idea because it's like
foams,
viscous
movement. And I think when you said surrender, my initial thing is you don't have to surrender for a year.
No.
You don't have to surrender for a month. You're actually just putting things on pause.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's that surrender word. I just went, oh God, imagine having to surrender and go, well, then they're going to win. It's none of that. It's just
surrender.
Surrender is just a pause.
Surrender is not, it's not a disempowering thing. Surrender is saying, wait, I just, like you say, pause. And I'm going to pause long enough for me to recognize, yep, there's the answer.
Yeah.
Right. So surrender is actually one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It is not about saying, okay, I'm putting my hand up in the air and saying uncle and they win, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. Surrender is, I'm getting stuck by my own limitations in my head that's blocking me from receiving the answer or the gift or the insight that's here. Right.
And well, I think there's a podcast on its own about surrender. But that's exactly it. And it's okay. Everything's okay because you live here. This is where you live. Hand on the heart, you live here. This is yours to do. So Moira, is there anything, because I'm conscious of our time, is there anything, any wise wisdom that you'd like to share before we wrap this up today?
I think the main thing I wanted to just reiterate that tip that I had suggested about, just if you are starting to get into a bit of chaos or questioning, is to just pause, create a wee bit of a pause, surrender, and just say, how am I feeling about myself here?
Yeah.
And just follow that. You might want to journal or speak it out or call on Deb or call on me, but that to me is one of the most powerful ways to drop right back into the wisdom of your soul.
Yeah.
It's right there.
And I'm going to say, trust and believe.
Yes.
And that's because you've been there, seen it, done it previously in another form, whether it's you or somebody else, and just trust and believe, and you will get through it. But Moira and I are totally here for you. That's why we do these deliciously motivated mindset conversations with Debz and Moira. So please reach out. Don't let yourself get into any further down the rail. But if you do, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like if you do, that's what we're here for. So listen to another podcast or reach out. It's up to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in saying that, you were a 2. I was a 2.5 because I wrote my 2.5 down. Where are we? So now we're just going to check in with our numbers to see where we're at. What number did you start with? What number are you feeling now? And our aim is to have it more towards the 0. But if you don't, because you'll notice that quite often, Deborah goes down or sits. So if you're at that, that's okay. So Moira, what number are you now?
I'm actually at 0. I feel like this. I loved how we wove different pieces into this, and I just feel like I wrapped up in a warm blanket right now. So
yeah, I feel the same. And funny enough, I have to say I have no pain in my body, my physical body. I've checked, I've moved everything, and I'm like, oh, this. So obviously I've listened to my soul's word that I needed to rest.
That's awesome. I love
well,
that.
you do after a fall. But so we're both at 0s. Let us know where you're at, peeps. That would be amazing. I'd like to thank you for joining us today about top tips to keeping your soul's word. Meant to say bring pen and paper. So when you're going to listen to our next ones, listen in the car. But if not, don't bring pen and paper in the car unless you're a passenger and you're not driving. But next time, maybe bring pen and paper and start writing these things down, that your little insights. Absolutely. So thank you very much. Thanks, Moira, for today. Thank you, listeners.
Debz.
Thanks, Debz. And I'm signing off, and so's Moira.
Signing off, and catch you next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.